Is love in the air, or is your relationship on the verge of destruction? Let's talk about it. Sit back,
relax,
and enjoy your favorite cocktail as we discuss relationships, dating,
sex,
and love. Love on the rocks, that is.
Love on the rocks. Love on the rocks. Love on the rocks. Love on the rocks.
Hey, and welcome to Love on the Rocks. How you guys all doing today? I am Roger the Wild Child, along with Megan Bennett.
Hi.
Hello, Megan. Moving into the spotlight, the co-hosting spotlight today is Megan. So great to have you as my cohort here.
Excited. My big ear over here. So excited.
Are you now?
I am. I'm stoked for tonight.
Absolutely. But yeah, so if you guys are watching us on go to the Love on the Rocks page, you could stream it to all your people. So absolutely. So you want to go ahead and do that. So make sure you guys are sharing, liking, and subscribing, because we have one interesting show today that you guys do not want to miss out. This is a topic that I think people don't really talk about.
They don't. I think it's one of those like taboo type things. You don't want to talk about it, but then you have, I don't know, a mix. Part of me, I have no filter, you know that. And then part of me is like, I'm forever immature and 12 years old when it comes to talking about sex, and I'm blush and I'm already doing it. I still think in my mind like penis, 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 vagina, vagina, vagina.
Yeah. And then when we're like kids at school, we're just like, oh my God. He just said the V word,
He just said pee-pee. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so we're going to talk about, it's the orgasmic connection, how to satisfy you and your partner's needs. So you guys want to check it all out, because it's going to be one crazy hour. So we have a great guest that's going to be joining us. And for whatever reason, Crystal disappeared, and I think her phone died or something. Wait a second. Is she popping in right now? I think give her a second to get set up. She, let's see exactly. She's adjusting. Hello, Crystal.
Hi.
So
there
Crystal,
you are.
There you are. We're so glad to have you back.
I'm so glad I can actually hear you guys now. I got a little scared there for a second. All of a sudden it went silent. I was just like, all that prepping for it to cut out.
That's how I felt before I realized my headphones weren't plugged in.
Right. So tell us about your thoughts on this topic, Crystal.
I'm excited to hear what everybody has to say.
Everybody.
I have theories, thoughts, and ideas, but I don't want to start running my mouth quite yet.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Maybe.
So maybe. I'm going to ask you. You are females, okay? And you know, as a girl is intimate with a guy, okay?
Right.
It's a physical chemistry. It's a connection, and we all know when guys orgasm. But we don't always know when a female orgasms.
Well,
I mean, a female knows if she orgasms or not, but the guy doesn't necessarily know.
Right.
And the girl always says, "Oh yes, I'm satisfied," and she may not have been. So,
yeah, I mean, some women will say, "Oh yeah, I got off." That sounds so weird. Saying, "Oh, I got off," but they lie. I've been that person.
You've been that person.
Oh, I've totally lied.
And then I just got to a point where I'm like, that was not any good. That's nothing to write home to mama about.
Here's my thing. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, at least on some women, I don't know, I can't speak for all women, but I'm pretty sure you could tell.
Yeah. I feel like now that I'm older,
I'm just saying. There are certain physical cues that I'm trying to give it away.
Oblivious to.
I mean, but if you don't know what it is you're looking for.
I think a lot of women are great fakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really know how to fake it.
Yeah, but so do
Okay.
guys. So do
Yeah, but
guys.
no, you can't. A guy can't fake an orgasm. I mean,
No, I'm not saying no. They can't fake an orgasm, but I don't know. It's in my. Give me a second.
okay, we'll
I'll
get back.
put the
Words
word
together.
for it. Yeah,
It's harder for guys to lie about it than it is for women. I think women at a certain point they're like, all right, it's not gonna happen. Let's get this over with.
yes.
Like that
And just
sounds
like Dominique
terrible,
said,
but
guys fake the whole relationship. They don't just fake an orgasm; they fake the whole relationship.
bad.
They do.
She's
They
not
do.
wrong.
Are we stereotyping here, Megan?
Oh no, I'm saying a lot of men in general.
Mm-hmm. Well,
lot.
women fake a relationship too.
I mean, there's some.
I think it goes both ways. I don't think it
True.
matters if you're a guy or a girl. I think it's
Yeah.
the person.
Right.
Yes.
So
I just feel like men do it more.
That. Wait, that way.
I beg to differ on that part, but
Men in Georgia do it a lot.
Oh. okay. So now it's stereotyping. You're saying Georgia. It's Georgia men.
I don't know if that's stereotyping, if it's true.
It's not stereotyping, it's stating facts.
I mean, yeah.
It really, Crystal, is it? It's facts.
Nope, that way. Like, to me, you're over here, but then I do it and it's Roger. So, yeah, what she said.
Rodney says, I'm with Roger.
Of course he is.
Of course, Rodney is.
I love him. Of course he is.
Yeah, ask him what the physical cues of a woman orgasming are.
Yeah.
Rodney,
right?
what are the physical cues of a woman orgasming? Orgasm. Yeah, I'm forever 12.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm supposed
So-
to make it through this episode without crumbling.
You already crumbled.
When men are just masturbating in a woman body and in their pants, I like this lady.
Do what now?
Dominique, she said when men are just masturbating in a woman body and in their fantasy mind, the disconnect also keeps a woman from orgasm.
Okay.
Orgasm.
Yeah, she's in a private chat, so I can't pull that up, but we'll bring her up
Oh,
in a
no,
second.
I know, but I was just reading and
Reading
she
it.
hit the point. Hit the
Gotcha.
nail on the head.
Yeah.
No, we don't want my top 10, Rodney. We don't. We really don't.
All right, you know what? We're gonna bring Dominique on. All right.
Yes, let's bring her on.
Let's bring her on. I mean, Dominique, welcome to the show. You're on Love
Hello,
on the Rocks.
everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
How are
How
you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. I love talking about these things. As you can see, I was already in the chat. I was like,
My mind, I feel like I do, and then my mouth opens up and I clam up because I'm a kid in my mind with sex.
So let me ask you this: as I was asking my co-host and my relationship influencer, you know, it's easier to tell if a man orgasms. It's harder to tell if a woman orgasms. You agree with this?
yes, very true. Yeah, very true. Because
And you
the physical symptoms, and then a lot of times women, they'll care about the man and they don't want to hurt their feelings. Or sometimes they could not be in the healthiest relationship and they don't want to anger the person. They may
Yes.
not feel fully safe.
Right.
So there could be various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And they also could be really ashamed and embarrassed that they're not able to, and they're thinking something's wrong with them. So they're just being quiet about it. So it's not always that they're trying to be secretive or be withholding. It's just that they can feel some type of shame that, like, what's wrong with me that I'm not able to do this?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that because I did not. I was like older before I had my first one.
Me too. Me too.
I learned how to fake one before I learned how to have one.
Yes, me too.
You did the fake it till you make it.
Yes.
100%. I had no idea what I was even supposed to be faking, but I went with it. And then when it really happened, I was like, holy shit. That's what it is.
Yeah,
You can't fake that.
definitely. And then when I coach women, you know, one of the things I tell them all the time is just please don't fake it, because then you're miscommunicating with your lover. And then he's going to think, oh, wow, when I did XYZ, that's when she orgasmed. So I'm going to repeat that. And you're just setting yourselves both up for failure with having that miscommunication.
I've definitely been stuck in that loop before.
Me too. Me
You
too.
get those same motions on repeat and you're like, oh my gosh, now what do I do?
Oh, man, he's picking up the wrong cues.
Because you're giving the wrong cues, you know, if you're
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you think you're doing a service by not letting your partner down, but in reality, you're actually letting them down.
You're letting yourself down too.
That's
Well,
right.
it even goes into a little bit of people pleasing, because people pleasing is actually, you know, and I'm a recovering people pleaser.
I am a
And
huge people pleaser.
you are. And I think a lot of people that are people pleasers actually are very interested in learning how to be good at sex because they're wanting to please their partner. So that was a real mind blown moment for me just a few years ago when I realized, oh shit, the whole reason I'm really good at sex is that I'm a damn people pleaser. But people pleasing is actually a form of lying, because we're not being honest with that person because we don't want to hurt their feelings.
In bed, if it sucks, I'm gonna say, hey, this is not good. I'm gonna put my panties on, and that'll be the end of it. But outside of it, like I'm a people pleaser, but I'm not afraid to. I have no filter. I'm not afraid to let it be known how my feelings are. But it took me a long time to get to that point.
Yes.
Because I was that people person to that extent where it was tell them what they want to hear. That's going to make them happy, because I didn't want to be a disappointment.
Yeah.
Meg, you got to be closer to the microphone.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Now?
Yes.
I used to be the same way, Meg. I just only as I got older reached a point where I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna coddle your feelings anymore. If you're not doing a good job, I'm gonna tell you.
Yes. And it wasn't until I older that I started recognizing that and being more open with, hey, this isn't good, or hey, don't do that. That's a little bit uncomfortable, or you know what I mean? Like it took me a minute to really get to that point.
Yeah. And to be fair, men aren't psychic either though, right? So, and we can almost be like snowflakes.
We're not psychic.
Exactly.
No.
So, and we can be almost like snowflakes in the way that our nerves are in our body. And, you know, the coverage of the skin and the erogenous zones with the clitoris, people have different sensations and like different types of pleasure, and in different areas. Some areas may be more sensitive, less sensitive. And so we all have these different preferences. And so just, you know, letting them know and showing them what you enjoy is so key, and just communicating that.
Right.
And I mean, when I had a lover that would give me oral sex and I didn't enjoy the technique, and I was in my early 20s then, I remember I just grabbed him by the face. I said, you know, I'm just going to kiss you. I'm going to kiss your mouth the way I want you to lick my pussy. Like, this is what feels good to me. And he got very good at it.
That's an interesting way to look at it. I like it, though. I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that.
It worked. He got really good at it. So, but just communicating, but without shame, just to be able to communicate, like, this feels really good for me. Or, you know, when I was masturbating the other day, like, I did this and it felt so good. And I just, man, I bet if you did it, it would even feel better. Because it always feels amazing when someone else gives you that sensation. Like when you touch yourself, it's one thing, but it's enhanced when someone else is
when somebody else's hands are touching you.
Yeah. So you're like, oh,
or their mouth or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just don't have it in me to be like, oh, move your tongue a little to the left, or I don't.
And you shouldn't be ashamed.
Maybe
to say
you
that
should
too.
sit on their face and then you move your body on their face the way you want to.
That's an idea.
You're like, I'm going to shift to the left or to the right. So it would be your
shift to the left, y'all.
See, like, I guess for me, it's also a mental thing. So if I have to keep taking breaks to tell him what to do, like, it's not going to happen.
Oh, that's for sure. Because
like, you got to do your homework
Yeah.
prior to, and then, you know, because otherwise it's not going to happen. If I have to keep like stopping to like think about what directions I'm going to tell him, like it's just not going to happen.
And I get it that sometimes you're in the moment and you just go into the action. But I think, you know, as you are in a relationship or, you know, or you are intimate with this person more than once, that, you know, conversations on, hey, what do you like? What do you want me to do to you? You know, to have that conversation with somebody, because if you don't open your mouth and say something, you're going down the wrong road. But you know what? Take a step back, learn each other's, you know, physical points,
Right.
and you know, and because that's going to make future chemistry so much more amazing.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's assuming you feel comfortable enough to have that
Have
conversation.
that is my
like
problem.
women are conditioned like to be good girls, and you don't talk about that kind of stuff, and it's not about you. And you know, like heaven forbid if you're worried about something feeling good for you, you know, because
Right.
that's just how we're raised. So like
What-
having that
100.
conversation in the first place is terrifying.
Yeah.
Like-
Another point there that you're, you know, what you're sharing there with safety is that even if you ask women, their biggest fear on a first date is to be killed. So many women will share their location with their friends or tell their friends, hey, this is their profile, check
Yep.
this out. And, you know, and check in with their friends for safety reasons.
Right.
A man's biggest fear when they did a study, and a man's biggest fear was to be laughed at. So there's a whole opposite spectrum of where
wow.
we're having stress or anxiety about when we're first meeting someone. And
That's
so then you're just trying to create, you know, that safety. And safety for the woman is so key for them to be able to orgasm. And the
Right.
more a woman feels safe with a man, that's even if, especially if you want G-spot orgasms, it all comes to feeling really safe to be able to fully surrender. Because even if a woman has had past trauma, or if she's not fully certain, like his intentions or where it's going, or something is there, our intuition is firing that something is not quite right.
Right.
If we're constantly scanning for safety and we're hypervigilant, the place where orgasm happens is not the same place where hypervigilance happens. Those things
Absolutely.
don't exist in the same space. So they might even be aware that they're scanning for safety, but if they are, they're not going to be able to fully relax and surrender and have that orgasm.
That
So it's a
I would
big
say
part
I
of
can
it.
relate to that so much.
Yeah.
That's
It's so
probably
common.
why I was a late bloomer with orgasms, because I just wasn't, and it's past trauma, of course. I just never was in a place to allow myself to go there, I guess.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that.
Let me ask you, is there a difference between coming and orgasm? An orgasm.
I think it's just a slang or a terminology.
Okay,
For
that's fine.
males, it's different because when I work with my male clients, I teach my male clients, if they're doing like very advanced mastery with their orgasms and in the bedroom, is I teach them how to separate their orgasm from their ejaculation so they can be multi-orgasmic and have stamina for hours. So with that, their orgasm, they're able to feel full body orgasms. Men will tell me they can feel their orgasm from the top of their head down to their big toe. It's not just a quick shootout through the penis. And so then if they're coming, that would be more like them ejaculating. So women probably, you know, you think about the ejaculatory fluid, which would be like a G-spot orgasm for a woman. But in slang terms, not in scientific or anatomical terms, I think we kind of have the things
I've always
be the
thought
same.
like an orgasm is like the emotional side of it for some reason, and the coming's just the physical, is how my mind works.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
So I'm like the nerd who does all the reading and stuff. And I actually did hear about that study that you were talking about how like men fear being embarrassed, women fear being killed. But I also went on to read that, and I don't know the numbers, I'm sure you do, but that something along the lines of 90% of women can orgasm like by themselves, but then with a partner, if they're with another man, it's only like 40 to 50%. So there's a huge disconnect there. And then like the percentage goes up if they're with a woman, but that we're so focused on male pleasure and like the male gaze, the male view, that like the female side, the women's side tends to just get ignored and pushed away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. And if I can speak to this, this is my jams. I totally nerd out on this stuff.
I'm like, correct.
We can like, we need a ball gag for
me.
Dominique because, no, but, and again, this is so tied into what we're saying, right? Because when you're by yourself and you're self-pleasuring, you're not worried about your safety. You completely trust, you've got yourself and you're just doing everything for yourself. You're not worried about someone else, or someone else isn't doing a move that doesn't quite feel as good for you. You know your spots, your body very well. And so that extra layer of safety helps you be more orgasmic. And then women can feel safer because men can be very big in stature. Like we could even have a past trauma, or being assaulted by a man, or having a very aggressive or abusive partner in the past. And so there can even be parts of that, of just the man's physical appearance being so overpowering that we don't feel as safe. And I think as women, we understand like how the anatomy works and like what pleases us. Like I'm sure a man would know, I always ask my guy friends for blowjob tips when they're gay. I'm like, okay, you have the equipment and you do this. Let me know the
Right. No, that's a good, yeah.
Now, you talk about safety and security and comfort, but you also mentioned about, some women are, they've been through abusive relationships, and then when the guy is aggressive with them, it turns them on because that's what they know, or that's what they're used to. So it's kind of, sometimes it can go one way, sometimes it can go the other way.
I don't know. I feel like there's that's a thin line. Like, as someone who has obviously been through an abusive relationship, in the bedroom, I feel like it's a totally like, don't whoop my ass outside of the bedroom. When we get in the bedroom, like if you want to pull my hair, smack my ass, choke me, I'm good with that. But you come at me out of the bedroom in an abusive manner, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, just because, what am I trying to say?
Because that it's just about pleasure and it's a fantasy role play thing.
Yes.
And it's not that you're really in danger.
Yes.
It's a part of a pleasure. But even with BDSM and sex acts, there's a lot more consent than in regular sex. You usually are talking about your boundaries, what your safe words are. There's more communication a lot of times. And the other part is, if we are trying to hide our traumas, women, we go and look at porn and we'll see how sex can be so performative. And so we'll be like, we want to be so much. We've learned from watching Disney movies that we want to be chosen by men. So then we might even play out these roles that we think he wants us to do, even though it might not be fully what we're wanting to do. And, the one person that I surrendered to and I allowed to, use whips and all these things with me was someone that I trusted. He's the person that I've trusted the most of all the lovers that I've been with. And he's been the only one I've done that with, because I felt so completely safe with him that I could take it to that place.
See, if somebody brought a whip, I'm like, it flusters me. A whip in the bedroom, my ass would be out. Done. Ain't no way. No way.
I used to be a pro dom, so I had all my implements and my whips and stuff in my room. And so whenever he came over one time, I literally had them all laid out on the dresser. I had this long dresser and I had everything laid out. And it was Cinco de Mayo. I told him I would be a human piñata for him that day for Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what just happened. What just happened?
Oh, did it cut out?
It cut out on me.
Oh no. You missed the juicy stuff, Meg.
That's all.
What
Yeah.
did I miss?
Oh, I just said
Talking about bedroom piñatas, it's fine.
It was on Cinco de Mayo, so I said, you can treat me like a piñata today.
Okay.
He made all my candy come out.
No. All right, guys, you got a question, comment, story, or just want to say hi, and you can talk to Dominique or us. Feel free to pick up the phone and call 845-442-LOVE. 845-442-LOVE. All right, perfect. So that's the phone number to give us a call here. And we are talking with intimacy coach. That would be Dominique D'Vita. So Dominique, let's tell us a little bit about your background here and how you became this intimacy coach.
Well, I've been a nurse for decades. I've been a nurse for over 30 years. And I started my nursing career when I was 19. And I was always fascinated with everything cardiac, heart-wise. And then I'm also Scorpio. So I went to LA and I was kind of having my midlife crisis in LA, which was a blast. And I was doing like pinup modeling and burlesque and doing travel nursing. And so while I was there, I was a recurring guest on Playboy Radio. And I was already having better sex than 90% of my friends and people that I knew. They were like, you should write a book. The sex position you taught me saved my marriage. And so I already was like, I already know I'm already having amazing sex. Like there's no better sex for me to be having than what I'm having. I had always wanted to learn Tantra, but a common misconception, which I had that held me back, was for Tantra I thought I had to have a partner to begin.
What's
but
Tantra?
You don't. Tantra is ancient, like ancient wisdom from India. There's some, Buddhist lineages and like from Tibetan lineages of Tantra. But these are actually tools for enlightenment and expansion, like meditation, breath work. The byproduct of it is that you become a better lover because you're really present. You worked with your energy, your sexual energy centers, and you're really tapped in and connected. And you are able to use you know how to move your sexual energy through your body and your pleasure through your body instead of it just all staying in your genital area and then pushing out. So you're going to have these more full body experiences. And so I'd heard about Sting doing Tantra and having sex for 5 hours. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. And then I met a lover when I was in Texas, and he didn't share with me that he had studied and mastered Tantra. And I was able to have an experience with him where we had sex for 5 hours. It felt like maybe an hour passed by.
Mm-hmm.
And and we weren't on any substances. And I had such prolonged states of ecstatic pleasure that I had what they call in Tantra yoga, like a Kundalini awakening, where the energy went all through my energy centers and my third eye and my crown chakra open. And I was like forever changed. It radically shifted me as a person. I had my first soulgasm with that.
Soulgasm.
Like it rocked me. Like I felt that to the core of my being. Interestingly enough, Osho brought Tantra from India back in the 70s. And when I read one of his books later, he described it. He calls it a soulgasm. But I was like, that was the only thing to me that made sense to call it. And I was like, oh, that's like a real word that exists in the Tantra world. This changed my life so much. It was like the sexual healing Marvin Gaye would sing about. So as I started healing myself with it, I decided, I would rather meet my patients at an earlier point on their timeline before they have disease and illness. And Tantra opens hearts. I used to help with open heart surgery. I was like, these are the tools of open hearts. So I became a Tantra educator. Yeah. Okay. And now I'm a trauma-informed master coach as well.
Damn.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. It changed my life. And because the man helped me with this experience, because I used to approach sex like Samantha on Sex in the City before, and I was very my masculine energy and very guarded and operating a lot for my ego. And I am a radically different person today. And then on the very day that I had my first soulgasm, a decade later in LA, which is where it happened initially, LA Weekly featured me in the work that I do in their publication on that very day. I was like, they were like, oh, they decided to publish it early. And it was on that day. And I was like, wow, what a full circle moment. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's awesome. Full circle for sure. Yeah. That's neat. A soulgasm. I'm hooked on this word now.
Yeah, soulgasm.
Yes, it is amazing. It really changed.
Get closer to the microphone, Meg.
I'm bad about this.
I know.
I feel like I've maybe experienced it once. That's the only thing I can think of, because it was way more than just a normal orgasm.
Yeah.
it literally, like, you could feel it from the top of my head down to my feet. And it's not happened it's once. And I never knew, like, is that normal? Are they all? And I learned, that they're not all like that. But I could never think of the right way to describe it. A soulgasm.
Yeah, sounds like that's what you experienced. And with
Yeah.
that person, I'm curious, with that person that you experienced that with, was he someone that you've also felt a lot of safety with?
For the past 24 years.
There we go. I'm telling you, safety is like really big for women to open up
The
into
only
those
one
types
I've
of
ever
orgasms.
felt that safe with ever.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about that
That's
earlier.
beautiful.
If there's one thing that we've ever done right, because we do a lot of things wrong between the two of us and over the past 24 years, but the one thing that has like been solid is the intimacy.
That's beautiful.
My safe zone for sure.
So we talk about satisfying both partners, or the partners satisfying each other.
Right.
Because what happens in relationships, a lot of times it's one-sided.
I think people get complacent and they don't want to, once they hit that comfortable point, that's it. It's a safe zone for them.
Well, you also find that you'll have like the younger guys.
What are you doing? Go away. That's not even funny.
Okay. So, I don't know what just happened.
That's not feeling safe.
Y'all, I'm sorry. My kid's about to get his ass kicked online. Go. I'm terrified of clowns. I'm fucking terrified of clowns.
Just take some deep belly breaths, love. Just nice deep belly breaths. Like expand your belly like a balloon with air and just breathe, and even just shake it off. Shake it off your nervous system. Shake your hands, your arms, your legs. In Tantra, they call it the Shiva shake, and it helps to get rid of that nervous energy.
Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me. Okay, we can move on. I'm shaking, like physically shaking.
Okay, so hi, Crystal. Welcome back.
I think I just missed out on some fun stuff.
It's not.
Everything frozen. I was like, wait, she's just getting the good part.
Okay, so going back to what I was saying, a lot of times it's the younger generation males will tend to want to take care of their needs before taking care of their partner's needs. And as we age, we learn that, as we get older, us, guys, and I'm generally speaking here, that we learn that we need to take care of her needs before we take care of our own.
Right.
So, do you see truth in this, Dominique?
Yes, it absolutely, because a lot of men, we get our sex education from watching adult videos because we don't get the right sex education. So I'm not shaming anyone for watching adult videos to try to figure it out, but we're being misinformed and dumbed down as to what's possible. And we think that that's, we equate them as a porn star, that they're getting paid to do this. They must be the very best. And then when we see that the women, we don't realize the women are acting, and so men start to think like this is what women want because that's what they're seeing, and the women seem to be enjoying it. So then they try to replicate that when they're with a lover, and it should have like some type of warning, like don't try this at home, but it doesn't.
All right.
And so there's that misinformation. But for women, with our arousal scale, it can take us 20 to 40 minutes to be fully aroused. Men can get aroused in just a moment, like really fast. So men are more like a microwave oven, and then bing, they can be done. And women, we need to be preheated. Then we're like this really juicy dish, and and we need to be maybe cooked for 40 minutes to an hour so that it's the yummiest. And so it just takes a lot more time for that to match up. And so if there's so much in our society about, we've been taught a lot as younger women, like don't give a guy blue balls and this and that. And And so we're really focusing on not being a tease and not doing that. But women are really getting teased a lot and we're getting blue ovaries over here because we're getting all turned on and we're getting a little bit of that thinking something's going to happen. And then if it's like game over before we get started, and then we have cleanup because they ejaculated and we maybe did a lot of prep time before shaving our legs, X, Y, Z. It's like it took us longer to
get ready
for the event and to
act.
Yeah. And so then it's almost like we continue to be teased and frustrated. And then men are wondering, well, why doesn't my partner really want to have sex with me? But if it's just about his needs, then we're not really going to want to show up.
Right.
And then because there's a mismatch in desire, because our arousal cycles are different. So just if a man will just take the time with foreplay, be sure the woman even orgasms once and that she's fully ready before he just starts to penetrate and do that jackhammer move that doesn't even feel that great for women.
No.
It could make a big difference.
And my whole motto here is that I don't even know if motto is the right word, but for me, it's all about making sure that she's pleased before I get pleased. Because
that's beautiful.
If she is satisfied, she's going to make sure that I'm satisfied.
Right.
Okay. And we don't, when we're young, we're 18, 19, 20, we don't think like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're like in our 40s or in our 50s and we're getting older, or even in the late 30s, you start seeing things at a different perspective. Because trust me, they're going to come back and they're going to want more from you if you know, if you take care of them. And so, for us guys, we can get, we can get off early. And then she's not satisfied at all. But if we take our time with it, then she's going to be all happy and she's going to want to go ahead and take care of our needs. And so if we have patience and have fun taking care of them and be like, yes, I got her to come. Yes, she squirted. Yes. Then you know what? She's going to want to be riding you home.
Yeah. I've never experienced that, but I've heard it's great. I really have. I've heard it's great, but I wouldn't know personally.
So Roger,
I think that was good out of me, actually.
You say like, oh, younger guys just don't understand, like, because they're just,
they say that generally speaking, because they're not okay. Because think about this, okay, 18-year-old men that's their peak. Women's peak is in their 40s. You get young guys who are in their peak. They don't think about their partner's needs. They think about their own needs.
Once you guys come, like, that's it. It's over because
it's
no
over.
more is happening.
Exactly.
So why on God's green earth wouldn't you make sure that she came before you? Like, that's just selfishness. That's not an experience.
It really is. But generally speaking, and Dominique, back me up if you agree or disagree on this, but young males don't really care if the girl gets off or not as much as they want to get off.
Right.
It's all about their needs. It's all about they're selfish. And when I was that age, I was selfish. I ain't gonna lie. No shame in my game. Yeah, I mean, that's just part of our nature but then when we get older, you realize there is two here. There's not just one.
Right.
Agree, Dominique?
Yeah, I agree. And we just aren't taught. They just aren't educated. So then if they don't know and they're not even sure if they can make a woman orgasm and they're not even sure what to do, then they're just looking out for themselves because they may not even know what to do because we just don't educate people. Our sex education is usually don't get pregnant, wait until you're married, or don't get an STD. And it's a lot of fear and shame based.
Mm-hmm.
It's never about, wow, this pleasure, pleasure is medicine. This can be so deeply healing, have amazing connection. All the good things that can happen from it. They're just not educated on that. So they don't even know that that's possible. So if they don't know, like if you don't know how to do something, why are you going to try to do it? You're just going to feel like a failure, right? Like, okay, well, I'm just going to act like I don't even care if she orgasms because I don't know.
Because young women are like, I want to fall in love. This is my man. This is who I want to spend the rest of my life with. And then you get a lot of young males that are like, yeah, she's hot. She's a score, and it's different mentality. And girls, younger girls are like, this is my future. I fall in love with you, and he's just like, oh my gosh,
Nice shoe, look. Yeah.
I'm gonna mark you on my tally board.
Yeah.
Really... I mean, it's sad that that's how the mentality is, but I mean, growing up, but it is exactly how it is.
Yeah.
And so, there's going to be one of those guys that are like 18 years old that's totally devoted to the girl and whatever, and that's fine. But overall, generally speaking, that's young males' mentality, and young women's mentality. They just want to fall in love, and young guys just want to get off. That's just how it is.
It's about feeling safe, Roger.
No, I understand that.
That's why it's not necessarily they just want to be in love, that they want to feel safe and comfortable in order to be able to have that experience with that guy. Guys, as they have proven time and time again, will literally do anything. Like anything, and still be able to get off. And like women have to jump through all these hoops and be in the right mental state and have like an understanding partner, whereas guys just have to like exist.
Yeah. Well, I think the emotional side of it too makes it a lot different between a woman and a male. Like females are going to get attached easier. They're going to get attached quicker.
Or like I have to be somewhat attached in order
to let your guard down to get right. Yeah. And when males don't mature as quick as females, that we all know, it makes it really hard.
Agreed.
I'm on the right track, I think, with what I'm trying to say.
Also, young women, when we're girls, were programmed with the Disney movies again about falling in love, living happily ever after. We're groomed to want to be married. We're having baby dolls and acting like we're having a family and being a mom. Like boys aren't pretending when they're kids that they're parenting something. They're out having play and having adventure. We're over here, having a little kitchen set and cooking and doing stuff like that. Like WTF? Why are we brainwashed to think that like this is what we should be doing and aspiring to? That's our, that's our goals. And then in those movies, we want the men to choose us. Like we have to conform or contort ourselves to try to fit in the Cinderella slipper, or Beauty and the Beast. He's a jerk and he's being, abusive and holding someone prisoner. But if I love him and he feels loved, then he's going to turn into a prince. And so then there's all these stories that we get that we settle for things that we shouldn't be settling for. And so it really makes the narrative, it makes it really wild how relationships can start initially. But in Tantra, it talks about, I want you to imagine like like the breast in women, the nipples. It's almost like in Austin Powers. The nipples are like energetically, the nipples project energy out of the female body. I think that's even why sometimes in society it's like cover them up, wear a bra, don't show it. Men can have their shirts off, but women, it's like there's a lot of power that can be admitted here. So our positive poles, you'd think like a battery charge, the positive side and the negative side, not to say genitals are negative, but opposite energies, right? Our positive poles in our breast and our nipple area. Men's positive poles in their penis. That's what shoots out. Men, they want to have a lot of validation and feel a lot of acknowledgement from their penis. That's why they'll really quick want to send a dick pic, because if they like my dick, like then they really like me. So it's like, here, look at this. Isn't this amazing?
Right.
And that's them kind of being vulnerable and hoping that woman would want that. Women, if we were to get women to open our legs and to want to have sex, unless we're operating in the masculine, which I was before Tantra, our positive poles in our heart and where our breasts are with the heart chakra and love. So we want more love and more feelings here. And when we feel loved and safe here, then everything opens up from the waist down. Then we open up. And then in Tantra, the vulva is called a yoni, for sacred space. Then that will open. And when we're feeling loved and connected and we feel connection with our partner, the G-spot orgasms will flow more. Men, they're going to first want to connect through their dick, and then maybe their heart center will open later. So we have this different circuitry.
I agree. I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah. So we just operate differently. And I love working with men. If it wasn't for a man, I wouldn't have had the experience I had. So that's why I love supporting men. So I don't like to shame them. We just don't get educated properly.
Yeah.
I think that's what it boils down to.
It's interesting, like how roles are reversed and who gets shamed the older you get. Like when we're younger, women and girls get shamed for even liking sex or, expressing themselves that way or wanting to actually orgasm when they're having sex with a man. And then as we get older, once the guys figure out that, oh, wait, this doesn't really work. She was just faking it. Like, I don't necessarily know what she likes. Then they feel that, the shame part.
Right. I agree.
We just get it first.
How would you, or what advice would you give to two people beginning in a relationship and learning each other's intimacy and learning what, before they're even getting intimate, how do they prepare themselves? What should they do to make sure that each other is both satisfied?
Is this question for me or the relationship?
You.
Okay. One, being your own best lover is the best thing you can do in exploring your body and not putting on, acting like we need someone else to bring us pleasure.
Right.
The Hollywood movies, like you complete me, you're my better half. Like when we have our self-love and we have a healthy relationship with ourselves, then we can have a better relationship and be a better lover to someone else.
Right.
So a lot of times though, if we're not comfortable being alone or being in our solitude, then we will try to hook into someone else to validate us, to give us attention so that we're not bored, so that we have someone next to us because we're afraid to be alone. And so then that's how unhealthy relationship dynamics begin. The best thing you can do, and actually is a lot of nervous system work, because we think we're in relationship with a partner based on, oh, I'm attracted to guys that have blonde hair and blue eyes, or I'm a leg man, or we have these shared interests. We don't realize that we're actually in relationship with our partner's nervous systems. And if over 95% of adults received inadequate parenting, and our first experience of trauma is when we are born in a hospital. That's our first traumatic event. Being in the lights, being pulled from our mother. That's the first traumatic experience our nervous system has. And so we have traumas throughout existing in society, but we act like everything is okay. And we wear a mask like, oh, I'm fine. Everything's good. Because we want to be called crazy or whatever. So then if we're just in not facing our traumas and we're not self-aware, and then we're hooking in with someone else, to have the best relationship when we can regulate our nervous system. And if our partner has tools to regulate their nervous system, like I was just sharing, take some slow, deep breaths, shake your body off, let it come out of your body. And you can co-regulate together, especially when there's challenges. Your relationship will have so much more harmony. And then your intimacy will thrive and you'll be able to connect better. And then if you feel safe with that person, you can share with them what your fantasies are. And you're not projecting your traumas and your unresolved stuff and what you're upset, your mother, father wound onto your lover and bringing all your baggage. It's like, okay, and we can communicate with our partner. Hey, these are experiences that I've had in the past. I get a little activated when this happens. I just want to share with you so you'll be aware of that. Not saying they're responsible for it, but just communicating, but it's like we can open up our mouth and put a dick in our mouth, but we can't open our mouth and say the truth. We can't say what our needs are. We can't speak healthy boundaries. And if we are wanting, like what I love about Tantra is it helps you have soulful sex. It creates soulmate relationships. And we often want to have a soulful relationship, a soulmate. So having a soulmate is like soul mating. How are we mating with someone? But in our modern world, most of us only know how to have sex on a superficial skin to skin ego level. We don't know how to have intimacy. We can be naked in bed and not make eye contact. That can make us feel really, activated. Like, oh my gosh, they're trying, like, you can't look at me like that. And so those are the things that are tripping us up from having the type of pleasure and bliss that we could have. And these are problems in our society that need to be addressed instead of just, for me, sex was, I didn't drink or anything, but sex was my escapism and away from the traumas that I had.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rodney on Facebook says, I have a question. Many relations fail because the first sexual encounter, the male is trying so hard on making love, and she may be thinking 50 Shades of Grey. First impressions mean a lot. So how do you get on the same page for the first time?
Why the hell do you want to know that, Rodney?
Yeah, Rodney.
Don't shame
my
Rodney.
Okay, so go ahead and you want to answer that one?
Well, one, I think this is another thing is we're so quick, and I was really fast to have sex with someone, and I think that it's really important to take some time and get to know someone because we have love and bonding hormones that are oxytocin that happens when we're having orgasms and we're having sex and we're creating a bond with that person. And if we don't really know them that well, all of a sudden then when red flags pop up, they look orange and we ignore them. And then we're in a dysfunctional relationship later. And we're like, man, I saw that earlier, but I ignored it because the sex was good. And then we thought we had all this chemistry, XYZ, right? So if you just take your time a little bit and not jump so fast to get into bed with someone, because you don't know like what kind of dramas and traumas do they have. Like you might be dodging a bullet if you would just take your time. And I'm sure the relationship expert can speak on this. Like if we would just slow down a moment, but then just ask and communicate, like communicate and ask, like, what things turn you on? Like, but it's challenging for women because we get so shamed. We want to be chosen to be wifey material. So we disconnect from our sexual selves.
Right.
It's really wild. So just asking and getting consent and talking about these things is the best way to go about it.
It's good advice.
Yes, it is.
And ask but outside the bedroom. Ask outside the bedroom.
Yeah, Rodney.
Not while it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's a good question.
Hey, time out for a second. Hey, I got a question for you.
Wait, before this goes any further.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Fuck.
Now, this is just, me as a woman, I know that a lot of times, like before when I was more self-conscious, I mean, like I'm always self-conscious about my body, but like, how does that play into, like, how would you advise women to kind of get through that? Because a lot of times they can't get past themselves. I know, like I've encountered that, like we're usually our own worst enemy in that department. Like we think like, oh my God, I look like a freaking monster. And he's like, look at this beautiful thing, but we just can't get out of our own heads long enough.
Right.
How would you suggest for women to kind of get over that whole situation?
That's such a good thing to bring up. Thank you for asking that. When we're overthinking, we're underfeeling and we're not able to feel as much pleasure. So one tip I would say is even if you play with them and ask, say like, hey, if they, they're trusting you, you can ask if they'll wear a blindfold for you a little bit, because then you're able to just have, a lot of women, we can orgasm the most easily on top. But if we're worried about how our belly looks, or we're not looking like a porn star,
right,
or how our boobs are, especially a woman after they've had a baby, so that way, if they are blindfolded, then we can just like not worry about like, how am I looking? And we can tap more into how am I feeling and feel more comfortable that way. I have a friend that he loves dating like really curvy plus size models. And he's a really, he's a really fit, super handsome dude, but these women are gorgeous, but they're 250 to 300, they're very voluptuous women. And I asked him how that was for him, like experiencing, because I know he really loves that. And he said, well, I I really love their bodies, but I don't get to even enjoy it as much because they don't love their bodies. They're holding back.
It's self-conscious. They're self-conscious
Yes.
about themselves.
That is
Yes.
me.
So he's
That's
like, I
very-
can't even fully, even though he would just love to be, he's like, I just love all of this, but he
Mhm.
can't even enjoy it as much because that person is just, not happy and satisfied with themselves. And so just knowing, like, men are really smart. They can figure out, I mean, yeah, we can wear shapers and this and that, but they have a pretty good idea how we look. And when they're aroused and them being able to be in our energy, that just amplifies our beauty. And they're not sitting there trying to dissect us. And if someone
Right.
is trying to pick you apart, they shouldn't be your lover anyway. But just know,
Right.
like, I've got this. They're here with me for a reason. Roger, what would you say to that? Like, as far as like when you're with women and, do you ever feel like you're judging how their body looks or thinking about things like that in the middle of sex?
No, I'm more about the intimate, the touch, the senses, the
But how do you
sensuality
handle
in a
if you're with
relationship.
someone who
Do
is
what?
self-conscious? How do you personally, like, how would you handle it as a man if you were with a woman who, say, I don't know, was self-conscious about her breast and wouldn't take off her shirt during intercourse? How would you, as a man, approach that?
I
Or
would,
do you
I would
notice?
say nice things to her and make her build her confidence up.
Mhm,
Because if she's not happy and she's closed up,
mhm.
I'm not going to be happy.
Right.
And so, it's all about making her comfortable. It's at the end of the day, it's about comfort.
Right.
And if she's not comfort and secure with you, then it's a recipe for disaster. So, you need to help build the confidence up,
Right.
and then take control of the situation and let
Mhm.
them know that it's okay, that, that you appreciate them. And it could be through words, it could be through kisses, it could be through touch.
Mhm.
But you have to show that you are giving them the attention, that it's about them, it's not about you. And if you take that time with them, they're going to feel more comfortable with you, because then they're
Mhm.
starting to trust you and they're going to want to open up more.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And
Yeah.
another thing a woman could try too is to get like a mesh kind of bodysuit that has crotchless and it's kind of holding, it's like a stocking thing. And you can just put it on. They're like really cheap on Amazon. And you can just put that on and go for it. And then you're not, you have a little bit of like a camouflage on something that you may perceive as a big deal, because we could all pick ourselves apart
Right.
a lot more. But when
I
a
don't
man
know
is
what I
aroused,
just thought of that. I don't know what movie it's off of, but the kid has the pantyhose on his head and he's like pulling it up. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? I instantly just got, this is why I am forever immature when it comes to this stuff, because I instantly think of putting pantyhose on your head and pulling it up to where it smashes your face and you can't really, anyway.
distorts how you look.
Yeah, it distorts how you look.
I got you. I remember. I see that visual too now.
I can absolutely picture that one doing that.
Yes, 100%. Yes, that would be me. To break
But
the
I've
ice.
always kind of felt like lingerie is more for women anyway. Like, yes, men enjoy it and they may have their preferences, but not to say who cares, but I've always felt like it was more for me, like for me to be comfortable, especially like if you want to cover things up. And there's like so much cute stuff. I mean, like there's a reason why La Perla is as expensive as it is, right? Like it's worth it.
That's why they don't make lingerie for guys.
Exactly. Like they don't make that kind of stuff for guys. Y'all just.
Oh, baby, do you like the lace on me?
I've never owned lingerie a day in my life.
Maybe you should try that. Maybe you should, do something different. And see how you feel.
I'm buying you a boudoir package for your birthday.
Maybe some pantyhose one day.
No pantyhose.
That's about as extensive.
Because she'll put it on her head.
Yeah,
she would.
Yeah,
she would.
Okay, so Dominique, tell us a little, where people can find you on your socials.
My My website's yestantra.com, and YouTube is Yes Tantra. And then on Instagram, it's Yes D'Vita, and I have a Facebook that's Yes Tantra.
Yeah, awesome.
Perfect.
Dominique, I really appreciate you taking the time and joining us. You know, it was a great conversation. You opened up our minds, and just, you know, yeah, definitely. And it's great to have you on here. We definitely would love to have you back again.
Oh, I would love to, most definitely. This is fun. Thanks, everyone.
Great
Thank you
meeting
so much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Likewise.
Okay, so that was Dominique D'Vita. She's an intimacy coach, and you can find her on the socials. And she's based out of Austin, Texas, which is like 2 hours from where I'm at right now here in Houston. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, you know, she's definitely had a lot of good advice to talk about. Ladies, what's your whole take on all this now?
I'm still forever immature. I will never wear lingerie in the bedroom. A soulgasm. And I'm really pissed at Disney for like making me
Disney gave me unrealistic
expectation. Yes, that's yeah.
There's no prince to save me. There's no forest animals cleaning my house. Like, what the heck?
No. And how dare I, all these years, think that was life?
Right.
Like, and I learned there's a lot I don't know. I'm not certain I even still know what tantra is.
Tantra.
A ball gag does not seem appealing. Neither does a whip. I would whoop someone's ass. That does not. But hey, I learned a lot.
To each their own.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what you appreciate in the bedroom may not be the same thing somebody else appreciates.
Oh, for sure.
When you're in the bedroom with somebody, it goes back to love language. I mean, it's another form. You need to learn what satisfies them. What do they want?
Right.
Some people want the sensuality. Some people want the whips and chains. I mean, but you know, you got to don't assume that's what your partner likes.
Yeah, don't go into the bedroom right off the bat with
stuff.
A whip. Just don't.
It's not always about the physical stuff, like but Meg says no whips.
Yeah, no whips.
No whips.
No whips, no chains, no paddle boards, no ball gags, no
paddle boards?
Man, no. No.
Bend over, baby.
And I'm out. No. I've had my ass whooped enough growing up by my mama. That is not a
I was gonna say that brings up a whole different
that is trauma. That is a trauma.
All right, next week, Ike Avelli will be back. He was in Chicago doing his show, so he wasn't able to make the show this week. And then Lydia was under the weather this week, so she will be back next week.
Get better, Lydia.
Get better, Lydia. And Crystal, I appreciate you taking time and joining us as always as our relationship influencer. And of course, Megan, it's great having you side by side with me as my newest co-host.
Yes,
so.
I love it.
Yeah. We got 2 shows that you're co-hosting with me on now. This is awesome.
Yes.
You got to love Meg.
We're getting it.
We'll be back next week
with kid of mine earlier.
Yeah, well.
You will not ever be in my vicinity again.
Exactly. All right, guys. We'll see you guys all next week. Make sure you guys like, follow, and share our episodes all over Facebook, YouTube.
Rodney, shut up.
And
Thanks,
then
what?
We'll talk to you guys all next week.
Yeah, we'll talk next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good week, guys. We'll see you.
Bye.